The twin suns hung low over a dying world. Their light painted the wasteland in hues of blood and ash. The air was thick with dust. It carried the distant roars of creatures that had long forgotten mercy. Among the shattered ruins of an ancient battlefield, she crawled, an alien girl. Her skin was marked with the pale glow of her fading life force. Every movement was agony. Every breath was a struggle. The world had turned against her kind. Her people were gone, hunted to extinction by the same species that had once shared the stars, the humans. Her vision blurred as monstrous shapes emerged from the fog. Scavengers of flesh and beasts born of war and radiation drew near, lured by the scent of her blood. There was no one left to help her now, no hope to cling to. The last sound she expected to hear before death was the mechanical click of a human rifle. But when the monsters lunged, a burst of light cut through the gloom. The creatures fell, shrieking. Smoke rose from their wounds. Through the haze, a silhouette appeared, broad-shouldered, armored, human. For a moment, she thought it was a hallucination. It seemed a final cruelty before the end. But the figure knelt beside her, eyes cold yet steady, and for the first time in what felt like an eternity, someone reached out. Not to kill, but to save. He didn't speak at first. He simply watched her, torn between duty and instinct, hatred and compassion. She was the enemy, everything he had been trained to destroy. Her kind had taken his home and his friends. They had stolen everything he believed in. Yet as he looked at her fragile form, trembling in the dust, he saw something else. A being that was more than a label, more than a side in a war. She was dying, and despite the armor he wore and the orders in his mind, he couldn't let her die like this. He slung his weapon behind his back and lifted her weightless body into his arms. The monsters were still out there, circling, hungry. The wind carried their cries, but he didn't stop. For reasons he couldn't explain, he had chosen to save her. Two enemies, bound by circumstance, lost in a wasteland of death and silence. Yet this act of mercy would ignite something far greater than survival. Two suns burned over a ruined horizon. The air shimmered with heat, carrying the stench of death and smoke. Amid twisted wreckage and scorched metal, a lone alien girl stumbled forward. Her body trembled, blood glowing faintly beneath cracked skin. Once proud, her race had fallen to extinction. Hunted, broken, forgotten. Each step left a trail of fading light. Monstrous silhouettes moved closer, drawn by her scent. She heard their growls, hungry, cruel, patient. Her vision blurred, her breath faltered. The wasteland stretched endlessly. It offered no escape. For a fleeting moment she thought she saw a shadow moving against the sun, tall, armored, human. But humans were killers, destroyers. Her strength failed, and the world faded to black. She whispered her last thought into the dust. Let it end. He had no name worth remembering, just a soldier turned scavenger. He survived on instinct and regret. His armor was dented and his rifle half functioning, but his eyes were still sharp. When he found her lying among the ruins, he froze. An alien, the enemy. His finger hovered over the trigger as memories flooded back, friends lost in battle, fire raining from alien ships. Then, he saw her trembling hand reaching toward him, her eyes half open, filled with fear and something else, pleading. The monsters were closing in fast. He could hear their claws scraping against the rocks. Against every instinct, he lowered the gun. Damn it, he muttered, lifting her in his arms. Her blood shimmered faintly against his armor as he ran toward the tunnels. The tunnel was dark and half collapsed. It reeked of rust and decay. He set her down near a broken console and tore open a med kit. He wasn't sure if human medicine would work on alien flesh. She stirred, whispering something in a language he didn't understand. Soft, melodic, fading. Save your strength, he said quietly. Her skin was cool to the touch, faintly luminous under the dim light. She flinched at his touch, but didn't resist. Outside, the monsters prowled, their shadows sliding past the tunnel's mouth. The silence stretched between them, two enemies sharing fear and breath. He checked his rifle, sighed, and leaned against the wall. "You better be worth this trouble," he muttered. The alien girl's eyes fluttered open again. For the first time, she looked at him not with fear, but confusion, as if she couldn't believe he had saved her. Night fell quickly on the wasteland. The shrill cries of predators filled the tunnels like the growl of the planet itself. The humans scanned the shadows, weapon ready. The alien girl tried to speak again, gesturing weakly toward the entrance. "Many coming," she said, her accent broken but clear. He understood enough. He checked his last energy cell and loaded it. "Then we move," he said. She struggled to stand, leaning on him for balance. Together they moved through the collapsed corridors as the walls trembled under pursuit. Dust rained from above, the air vibrating with snarls. They reached a dead end. He cursed softly and turned to face the dark. "Stay behind me." The battle erupted in chaos, metal screams, plasma bursts, and the stench of blood. He fought like a machine, every shot precise. The monsters fell one by one, but more came, crawling over their own dead. The alien girl raised her trembling hand. A pulse of blue light surged from her palm, scattering the creatures. Her body convulsed, drained by the effort. He grabbed her wrist and pulled her behind cover as the tunnel shook. "What the hell was that?" he shouted. "Energy. Life. Mine," she whispered weakly. He stared, awed by her will to survive. He nodded once. "Then let's make that count," he said. Together they faced the next wave side by side. When the last creature fell, silence returned. Heavy, suffocating silence. He dropped to his knees, exhausted, armor scorched. The alien girl collapsed beside him, her glow dimming. "Stay with me," he said, shaking her gently. "Why?" "Help me," she whispered. He hesitated, searching for truth. Maybe he saw in her what he'd lost in himself, the will to live. "Because I couldn't watch you die," he said. She stared at him, eyes shimmering faintly. "Human? Kind?" she asked. He laughed bitterly. "Not always." The first light of dawn filtered through the cracks above. It touched her face, warm and soft. She opened her eyes slowly, pain etched into every breath. But she was alive. The human sat nearby, rifle across his knees, staring at the horizon. The war between their races had taken everything from him, his home, his hope. Watching her stir, he felt something return. She struggled to sit, and he helped her without a word. "We can't stay here," he said. She nodded weakly. Together they stepped into the light. The world was scarred, but strangely beautiful. They walked in silence through the wreckage of two broken worlds. Each step carried the weight of loss and the faint hope of renewal. She glanced at him, studying the human who had saved her life. He caught her look and smirked faintly. "Don't get used to it," he said. "I still don't like you." She almost smiled. The horizon stretched ahead, unknown, dangerous, alive. Behind them, the beasts stirred again, far off. But they didn't look back. Whatever waited out there, they would face it together. The war that had divided their species might never end, but something fragile had begun to grow. The suns were sinking again, their light spilling gold and crimson across the wasteland. The wind had grown quiet. Only two sets of footsteps remained, one heavy and sure, the other light but determined. They walked without speaking. The silence between them was no longer suspicion, but understanding. The human glanced at her, her glow reflecting on his armor. He still didn't know why he had saved her, only that it had changed him. The alien girl looked ahead, calm and peaceful. For the first time in her life, she wasn't alone. The stars appeared above, cold, distant, yet hopeful. Somewhere beyond that sky, war still raged. But here, peace had been born. It wasn't victory or salvation, just the truth that compassion could exist in ruin. As they disappeared into the horizon, one thing was certain. Monsters would rise again, but so would mercy.